representatives from all over Europe and friends and colleagues from Fingal and from the surrounding areas. You're very welcome to Malahide, you're very welcome to Fingal, and you're very welcome to this ARC meeting or conference and Fingal meeting or conference on collaborative working in airport regions. This is my last function as president of ARC. We all know that within our regions, the single, probably most important economic driver in the region is the airport. But going along with a vibrant, dynamic employment source is also an industry which probably has a very significant influence on the community in which it operates. What we are looking for in representing this community of 100 million people is a balanced approach to airport development.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'm really very pleased to be here in Malahide this morning to formally open the Airports Region Conference. Malahide is one of Ireland's larger local, or rather Fingal is one of Ireland's larger local authorities with roughly 250,000 people living in it. The Dublin Airport was built in 1940, and the political leaders at that time, I think, showed enormous foresight. While all of Europe was at war, Ireland was neutral, and Ireland decided to build an airport. And there probably couldn't have been a worse time in many ways to build an airport than in the middle of the Second World War. But they did it, and they had a lot of vision, I think, in doing so. And it's really prospered since then and has become a very successful airport. We also have a very strong aviation leasing industry based particularly around Shannon, which brings a huge amount of revenue into the state, and a maintenance industry as well. Ireland is a small island, but we have an absolutely enormous airspace. Our airspace stretches out to the middle of the Atlantic, and for that reason we've quite developed air traffic control system, and thankfully collect a lot of revenues from people flying into Europe, because pretty much anybody who wants to come to Europe has to fly either through Irish airspace or the airspace of Spain and Portugal, and that's been very lucrative for us as well. First is to increase passenger numbers, the number of people coming in and out of Ireland. So a big part of my job, of course, is to encourage people to holiday, particularly people have to holiday within Ireland, but also beyond. Some members of the media have a problem with that, but that is a big part of my job, and I'm going to continue to do it. The second thing is consolidation, reducing the number of airports, and the third is to inject competition and perhaps separate the state airports into different airports.
The thing that I appreciated probably more than anything else was the collaboration that we had with the airport authority itself. And I can tell you from the work that we did with ARC, we knew how to go about this properly, because with the influence of our participation in ARC, we knew what it was, how we could get the fora together to make this work. So all the stakeholders were drawn into the assembly of the optimum outcome for the plan. So it's all in all, it's a completely sustainable and coherent land use and transport package that we have assembled, and that our councillors voted through and supported, nuanced here and there and made work. We now have a new first impression, to go back to our original slides, for our gateways for visitors, that speaks of a forward-looking country in much the same way as a previous generation did in the 1930s.
Airports across Europe are very, very significant generators of economic activity, and are responsible for around about 7% of total GDP within the European Union. We're completely self-funding. We receive no income from the state. We never have received any income from the state. On the contrary, we actually remit money to the state, and over the last 20 years we have paid dividends in the region of 800 million euros to the state. We took a very conscious decision to have extensive consultations with all of the relevant people. We talked to passengers, we talked to the airlines, we sat down with the airlines and we went through their business plans. We also, as I said, needed to collaborate very importantly with the community, and to do that we established the Dublin Airport Stakeholders Forum.
Keeling's is a family-owned business. My father's the chairman and myself and my two brothers run the business. We're mainly focused on fruit and veg and salad. Part of the reason we were creating the food hub near the airport, a location, because we had a couple of locations, but the one near the airport made the most sense. And the key airport benefits have been around logistics. Obviously, there's a fantastic logistics network set up for airports to deliver the people in and out of airports. We've been able to link into that for our business, and it really significantly reduces our distribution costs. Because we're located literally 10 minutes from the airport, we found that if we start planning days for buyers, international buyers, where they arrive with us mid-morning, they have a tour, we have negotiations, they leave mid-afternoon, they've had a reasonable day. But once you start asking them to stay overnight or for 6 o'clock flights in the morning, etc., suddenly your trips are postponed or they can't get approved or things like that. So the difference by us being next to the airport has been hugely significant.
Any change you make usually has impacts in other areas. Sometimes these impacts are beneficial, are good. Other times they can have very negative impacts, and you always have to consider any impacts in other areas before you make any change. So where does air traffic management come in? Well, first and foremost on the definition of the routes that aircraft take going in and coming out of the airports. Do you want all aircraft to exactly follow the same route, meaning that the affected area underneath may be very narrow, but that area gets very high noise load? Or do you still want to somehow get almost an artificial dispersion of the aircraft over the route and therefore a little bit more dispersion of the noise? If you look at the two, ATM and spatial planning, there are two processes that affect each other. If you want to introduce any change, you have to design that change, assess the different options in terms of safety, environmental impact, I don't know what else. You have to design it properly, you have to inform the people that are affected, you have to train them. Introducing any kind of change can take anywhere up to 5 or even 10 years depending on what you want to do. So it's not a very fast moving process is the point I'm trying to make.